At Thanksgiving, my sister declared I was no longer family, and everyone cheered. I set a folder on the table, and the moment she opened it, she screamed. "Hey, before we dive into the turkey," Natalie announced, getting up from her seat with that smug, practiced grin she always wore. "There's something we need to address." The room fell silent. Forks were left hovering in the air. My stomach churned, recognizing that tone immediately. It was the same voice she used when I got grounded at 14 for a party I didn't even attend. "We've had a family vote," she continued, glancing around the room like she was about to be crowned Miss America. "And we've decided you're not family anymore." Silence took over, and then came the cheers. My cousin Laura started clapping as if she was at a rock concert. Uncle Mitch lifted his wine glass in a toast. Even my mom, my own mother, chuckled and said, "Someone had to say it, I guess." I sat there, frozen, staring at my plate. While my stuffing grew cold, my blood simmered. Dad didn't even glance my way. He just sipped his beer and muttered, "Probably for the best." "Wow," I said, slowly pushing my chair back. "You guys actually rehearsed this." Natalie just broadened her grin. "You've been a pain for years. We're just done with the charade. You're not family," my mom added casually, reaching for the cranberry sauce like we were chatting about the weather. "It's unanimous." I scanned the room. Not a single soul spoke up for me. Not one. "Good," I muttered under my breath. Then reaching into my bag, I did what I had come prepared to do. I placed a thick folder right in the center of the table. Its thunk instantly cut through the laughter. Natalie's eyes widened. "What's this?" she asked. I leaned back in my chair, arms folded, smirking. "Why don't you find out?" She snatched it up and ripped it open, her smirk ready to gloat. As she flipped the first page, her face went pale. Her eyes darted to the second page, then the third. And then she unleashed a blood-curdling scream, like something straight out of a horror movie. Her chair toppled over as she jumped up, slamming the folder shut like it had stung her. "You monster!" she shrieked. "You messed up, twisted weirdo!" Gasps rippled through the room. Her husband, Joel, grabbed the folder and opened it. His jaw hit the floor. He looked at me, asking, "Is this?" I nodded once. "It's all real," I stated confidently. "Every word, every receipt, every screenshot." The room was dead silent. You could hear a pin drop in the kitchen. Mom's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. "You all thought I wouldn't fight back," I declared, standing up slowly. "Thought I'd stay the quiet one, the doormat, the ATM. But guess what?" I leaned over the table, locking eyes with Natalie. "Your little performance? It's over." Now, you're probably wondering what was in the folder. I'll get to that, but first, let's rewind a bit. Because Natalie didn't just wake up one morning and decide I wasn't family. No, that decision was built, brick by brick, over years, comment by comment, betrayal by betrayal. I was never their favorite, not by a long shot. Natalie was the golden child, the star with good grades and a big charming smile who knew how to captivate a room. She could lie through her teeth and make you thank her for it. Me? I was the quiet one, private, not needing attention. And they hated that. They mistook my silence for weakness. At 19, I moved out, paid for college myself, juggled 2 jobs, and never asked for help. Meanwhile, Natalie flunked out of 2 majors and went off to Europe to find herself before coming home to marry Joel, who's like the human version of a LinkedIn profile in a blazer. Oh, and the wedding? I footed half the bill because my parents couldn't afford it, but somehow they managed a 2-week cruise right after. I didn't gripe. I never did. Even when they jokingly referred to me as the family accountant, I kept shelling out money, paying for Dad's dental surgery, sending cash when Mom claimed the heating bill was overdue, even covering part of Cousin Laura's tuition when she was waitlisted for a scholarship. They always said, Thank you. Sure, but with that tone, the one that said, well, of course you'd help. You don't have a family of your own. And maybe that's what stung the most. See, I'm single. No kids, no spouse, no drama. Just me, my work, and my dog. In their eyes, that meant I had nothing better to do than bankroll their chaos. Natalie, especially, treated me like her personal fail-safe. When Joel lost his job, who did she call first? Yours truly for a small loan. When her car broke down, you make 6 figures. What's $2,000? When her kid needed therapy that insurance wouldn't cover? Yeah, guess who she called? And I always helped. Always. Because I convinced myself it was about family. But helping morphed into obligation, which twisted into expectation, then demand. It started with little digs at dinner. Oh, you brought wine? Must be nice to afford good wine. Or, of course you're early. You've got no kids to worry about. And wish I could work late every night to dodge my husband, too. Then it got uglier. You're so cold. Maybe that's why you're still alone. You don't understand real stress. You don't have a real life. You're just bitter no one needs you. Except they did need me. Constantly. Financially. Quietly. Behind closed doors. Then came the text from Natalie. Hey, can you co-sign for a small business loan? Joel and I want to start a wellness cafe. Me. No. Natalie. Wow, really? And that was 3 months ago. Since then, the cold shoulder. Mom stopped calling. Dad sent, you know how sometimes family drama just spirals out of control? Well, I found myself in one of those situations. Nobody even bothered to invite me to the last family dinner, and that was just the beginning. Natalie went ahead and blocked me on all social media after she posted about cutting out toxic people. But instead of just moping around, I decided to pull out some evidence. Literal receipts. Turns out, I've been keeping track of everything. I have bank transfers, emails, screenshots, and dates all meticulously organized. I'm not naive. And over the past 5 years, I've sent over $78,000 to my family. Can you believe that? $78,000? We're talking $8,000 for Joel's rehab, $20,300 for Natalie's so-called emergency dental work that was really just veneers, $1,500 for surgery for Dad's back, $12,000 to wipe out Mom's credit card debt, $6,000 to help Laura with college move-in costs, and $4,500 for what was supposed to be a family emergency but was actually a trip to Cabo. Not once did they offer to pay me back, and when I stopped giving, suddenly I was the bad guy. So, I put together a folder. Inside was every transfer confirmation, every email and text request for money, screenshots of Natalie calling me manipulative for saying no to a loan, a timeline of every major payment I made in the past 5 years, and even copies of social media posts where they mocked me. Natalie had this private comment thread calling me a cash cow with no spine, not realizing I could see it. When she opened that folder, she was furious. It wasn't just about being exposed, it was seeing everything laid out, fact by fact, that hit her. The family started to realize what they'd done. Mom looked like she might pass out, and Joel just stared at the line about $4,200 used on Natalie's credit card for a hotel stay in Santa Monica with someone named Alyssa. He asked, "What is this?" I didn't need to reply. Mom finally spoke up, trembling. "You kept records of everything?" she asked. I turned to her, calm as can be, and said, "You never remembered, so someone had to." Natalie was still standing there, pale and silent. She tried to say it was a violation of privacy. "No, right?" I said, slowly standing up. "You all practically disowned me for not helping anymore. And now you're upset I came prepared?" Joel turned another page. "What about Santa Monica?" He pressed Natalie, who just snapped, "Don't start." The silence in the room was louder than anything. "Can we all just calm down?" Mom pleaded. Sure, I said. Let's be reasonable and talk about when you called me a parasite while cashing my checks. She blinked. That's not fair. We were stressed. No, I snapped back. You were stressed, and I was your bailout every time. And the moment I said no, I became the enemy. Dad finally spoke up, trying to downplay it. You're making this into something bigger than it is. I faced him, my voice chillingly level. You let them do this for years. You saw it and did nothing because it was easier than standing up to them. He didn't deny it. Natalie slammed her hand down, accusing me of bitterness. Wrong, I said coldly. I'm not bitter. I'm done. She laughed bitterly, mocking me for keeping records. You think this makes you the victim? She said. It just makes you look controlling. I shot back. And you're proving you only cared when I was footing your bills. Yo, you don't get to play the martyr, she shouted. You chose to help. And yet, I stepped forward, you expected it every time until it became my obligation. When I stopped, you all cut me out. My voice cracked, not from sadness, but rage. You didn't want a brother, you wanted a wallet. Joel rose, holding the folder. Is this true? He asked Natalie. For once, she had no retort, no fake tears, just silence. You lied to me. About the hotel, the money, about him, he accused. He was turning everyone against me, Natalie exclaimed. I wasn't, I said calmly. You did that by yourself. The room was silent again. Mom leaned forward, voice softening. Listen, honey, we may have overreacted, but this is still family and families fight. Let's move past this. I cut her off. You're not hearing me, I said. I'm not asking for peace or forgiveness. I'm saying I'm done. Natalie scoffed. Stop pretending this is a big moment. You've said that before. I locked eyes with her. Not like this. I reached into my coat and pulled out another envelope. What now? Dad sighed, clearly worn out. I tossed it on the table. Joel caught it before it slipped off and opened it. He began to read the first line. As his eyes went wide, he quietly said, What is this? Before he could say more, I stepped in. They're power of attorney forms for Mom. They're revoked. Her medical proxy is revoked too. And I'm no longer your emergency contact. I've signed it all already. I've let go of any legal or emotional responsibility for you guys. My mom's eyes filled with shock as she gasped. You're cutting ties completely? Completely, I confirmed, as calm as I could be. Tears started forming in her eyes as she accused, You're being selfish. We've made mistakes, but we're still your family. I turned to her, my voice turning soft yet firm. No, you're not. I picked up my coat, gave them one final look, and headed out, leaving them stunned at the Thanksgiving table laden with cold food and harsh truths. It wasn't easy to walk away, but I did. As I closed their door behind me and stepped into the crisp night air, something shifted within me. For the first time in ages, I felt like I could breathe. I didn't head home immediately. Instead, I detoured to a lake where I went as a child, a place where Dad and I used to fish. I sat by the water's edge, staring at its still surface. For once, there was nothing tugging at me. No guilt, no demands, no one needing a ride or money. Just pure, undisturbed quiet. The following morning was silent, as was the next day. But on the third day, the messages began trickling in. First, a missed call from Mom, then another, and finally a voicemail pleading, You really mean it? We were angry, but we're still your family. I didn't reply. Natalie sent a text soon after. You don't realize what you've done. Joel's filing for divorce. Are you happy now? There's something wrong with you. My dad chimed in too. You went too far. We all said things we regret, but what you did was nuclear. Your mother is a wreck. Come fix this. I ignored them all, surprisingly guilt-free, sleeping better than I had in years. I no longer second-guessed texts or waited for the next problem to arise. No more late-night Venmo requests masked as emergencies. For the first time in a decade, I felt free to think for myself. Mornings were bright. I took to jogging and brewing coffee at a leisurely pace. I scheduled long-neglected appointments, dentist, doctor, therapist, not because I was broken, but because I finally had the liberty to care for me. I redid my emergency contacts, removed my parents, changed passwords, froze joint accounts, and blocked Natalie. This wasn't revenge. It was closure. A week after Thanksgiving, I got a surprising text from Laura, my cousin, who had clapped when I was ostracized. "I didn't know you paid my tuition. I'm sorry I followed the crowd. You always helped." I read it twice, but didn't respond. Then came an unexpected message from Joel. I filed the papers. Everything checked out. She cheated, lied, manipulated. Not just you, me too. You did the right thing. I should have left sooner. That hit me hard. Soon after, I applied for a job in a new city. Not to run, but because I was finally free to explore. No longer tethered by, "You should stay close to home," or "Who will take care of them if you leave?" I started reconnecting with old friends I'd drifted away from due to family obligations. To my surprise, some had seen my post on Reddit. They reached out, offering support. "We're proud of you." That was brave. No requests for money, no guilt trips, just sincere support. When someone asked, "Don't you regret it?" I paused, then replied, "I only regret not doing it sooner." I thought that was my finale. In many ways it was, though with people like them, endings are never tidy, especially as they feel the impact of my absence. The weeks after Thanksgiving were blissfully peaceful. No calls, no guilt, just tranquility until Christmas. On December 22nd, Mom sent a photo of their living room, partially decorated but with a gaping void where presents usually piled up. The caption read, "It doesn't feel the same without you. Ellie keeps asking why Uncle isn't coming." I stared at it for a while. No apology, no acknowledgement, just the usual manipulation. "Look at what you've done. Look who you're hurting." I didn't reply. On the 23rd, Natalie tried calling. I let it ring. Her text followed, "I know I messed up, but don't punish everyone. Come by for Ellie. She misses you." 2 minutes later, another message. "Mom and Dad are behind on mortgage payments. The bank called today. Thought you'd want to know." There it was, the usual ask, cloaked in guilt and false warmth, ending predictably with a request. I blocked her. On December 24th, Dad sent a message. "You made your point. We get it, but enough is enough." You know, sometimes life throws some wild curveballs, and you find yourself having to make tough decisions. So, let me take you back to that evening, just me sitting all alone with a glass of wine by my tiny fireplace, in my cozy little apartment. The place was silent, no festive decorations or any noise, just pure, unadulterated quiet. Now, folks always warned me that this kind of silence might be my undoing, but for the first time ever, I found myself grateful for it. Fast forward to January, and suddenly my phone rings. It's a number I don't know, but I answer it because, well, habit. The guy's like, "Is this Daniel?" And I'm like, "Yeah, who's this?" He introduces himself as Mark, calling on my dad's behalf. Apparently my dad's stuck and needs his trust's exec at the helm. My heart stopped for a second because I wasn't in that role anymore, hadn't been for months. I'd taken my name off everything with the lawyer's help. Turns out my family was in a tight spot, and they were getting pretty creative to pull me back in. I ended the call without another word. But then, in February, the mail comes, and there's an envelope with that unmistakable handwriting. My mom's. It was a letter, 3 pages long. The first one was loaded with regret. A whole apology tour about things said in anger and how they'd leaned on me too much. The second page hit with the guilt trip. Dad's health is failing, Natalie's alone, and Ellie, she's struggling. And the kicker, the third page. They're selling the house but drowning in mortgage debt, begging me to help just this once for Dad, for the family. I sat there, feeling every pressure they wanted me to feel. Responsibility, obligation, the whole works. But in the end, I folded the letter, stood up, walked to the trash, and tossed it. I realized they weren't seeking help. They wanted unrestricted access again to the old me, the one who never said no, always bailed them out quietly. But that version of me, he's long gone. I'm not their go-to problem solver anymore, not their ATM. And the scariest part for them? I'm thriving without them. I've landed a new job, relocated to a bigger, brighter city, and carved out a fresh start. I volunteer on weekends, just because I want to, and live a life where I'm not a 24/7 lifeline. I can finally breathe, with kindness not being a currency. I have no regrets helping them before, but I do wish I'd stopped sooner. Real peace, it turns out, isn't being surrounded by demanding family. It's breaking free from people whose love comes with strings attached. And, surprisingly, this public space gave me the clarity I needed. Strangers seeing me more clearly than my own blood ever did. Months on, I didn't expect anyone to notice my story, but every comment was a beacon. Kind words calling me brave, saying I deserved better. Yeah, those meant a lot. Some wondered if my family might change, and I wondered too. But nope, they didn't. Even after distancing myself, after all the yelling, the silence, they didn't get it. They got quiet, then strategic, then desperate, and ugly once more. Me? I got to be truly free. In the meantime, I've moved again, started working a job that doesn't make me guilty or anxious. I began real therapy, the kind where you stop being everyone's fixer and learn to just be with yourself. Cooking, sleeping better, going outside more has become my normal. My phone doesn't make me jump anymore. Sure, I sometimes think about Ellie and what she's learning about family, but also I showed her that it's okay to say enough. Not long ago, another letter arrived from my mom. Just 3 words. We're still family. No apologies, no real change, just the same old bait. And I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness. I just tossed it and made myself dinner. So circling back here, it's hard to say if cutting them off was right or wrong, but for the first time, I feel like I'm living, not just surviving. Thanks for sticking with my story and listening. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy hearing stories like mine, don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.